Welcome to This Week in Wrestling History.
All right, everyone, welcome back to This Week in Wrestling History. We're your hosts, Ryan, Jacob.
Nothing funny?
Nothing funny this week. Sorry. My funny ideas were elsewhere, as we'll find out pretty soon.
Oh, boy.
So, all right, you guys know where to find us and listen to us. Thanks so much for listening. Appreciate it. Nope,
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about plugs.
Yeah,
Y'all know where to find us now. So, this week, we have another game show for you. We have what I guess we're going to call What Happens Next. I went through and found a bunch of wrestling scenarios, and I'm going to be quizzing Jacob on figuring out if he knows what happens next.
So it's more of a what happens next on said TV show or what happens next in said match.
Yeah, more or less. The questions aren't made to be killer difficult, but you'll get them as they go along.
Oh, boy.
So before we get to that, anything else going on in wrestling this week that we need to talk about? All Out sold out in 15 minutes again?
Shocking. Like, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised at anything that they do is going to be sold out for the foreseeable future.
Right. For at least like the first, until like their third or fourth pay-per-view on after they've been on television, because that's about the point where the blind goodwill is going to run out, and they're really going to have to kind of start work. Hey, I hope they keep selling them out after that. I'm just saying that's about the point where your TV needs to be kind of carrying its weight instead of the goodwill of the fans.
Right. And I think for again, up until that third pay-per-view, I bet you TV will sell out.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Their first few tapings, definitely. And it's going to be weird because we don't know if they're going to be live yet or not, do we?
I believe they had talked about trying to work out like who was it? Somebody had brought up actually going through and doing something similar to how NXT does it. Tape like a month out.
Right. That would make sense. And I would be fine with that. It'll be kind of annoying with this day and age of the internet with spoilers being out there the minute it's done, but is what it is. It doesn't take away from the NXT TV shows or anything, so that's fine.
Yeah. It wouldn't even be too bad if they did like a month's taping, but spread it across like 2 weeks maybe.
Well, that's kind of what Raw used to do. Is Raw would be live and then they would tape the next week Raw right after it in the same arena.
Yeah, it's like kind of like what they did this year, the Christmas episode.
Exactly.
Or for SmackDown and Raw, they taped the episode that was going to premiere on Christmas. Was it Christmas or New Year's? One of the two.
Well, it would have been both because
right. So they taped the one or they did the live one, and then immediately after they taped it and
did the next one,
and saved it,
which a lot easier back in the day when 2 full shows of Raw would have been 3 hours instead of 6. Like, I don't know how you could do that in this day and age. That's a lot of damn TV.
Like, SmackDown wouldn't have been too bad because it was 4 hours.
Right.
But 6 hours of wrestling?
Jeez.
Like, I had a hard time sitting all the way through Global Wars when we went. And that was what we left there at midnight?
Yeah, 3 or 4. So... Well, think about it. Like, that's almost the length of Mania without having like the energy and atmosphere of Mania to kind of help pull you through that much.
Right.
All right. So, anyways, let's get to the game show, and if there's anything afterwards, we can always do more afterwards. So, basically how this is going to work is it's not just going to be blind. You're not just going to have to come up with the answer on your own, which that'd be like the hard mode of this. You're going to have... Most of the questions will have 4 options. One question will have more than 4 options, but you'll have to pick the right one, so on and so forth. Pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1. Before he was the Godfather, Charles Wright was the ultimate fighting machine, Kama Mustafa. But before that, he was the voodoo man, Papa Shango, and he cursed the Ultimate Warrior. What did this curse cause the Ultimate Warrior to do? A. Caused his skin to feel like it was on fire. B. Caused him to throw up multicolored vomit. C. Temporarily paralyzed him due to a voodoo doll being poked with pins. Or D. It broke his confidence so badly that he became the Ultimate Warrior and talked in an offensively nasally nerd voice for months until he finally got a win.
So I'm going to take the last one out because that just doesn't seem right.
You're gonna notice a trend here.
I'm also going to take out the multicolored vomit because that seems like it would have been kind of hard to do back then. And I vaguely remember Papa Shango actually having a little voodoo doll. Didn't he have one on his little stick or whatever it was?
He had so many weird random voodoo gimmicks. I'm not even sure.
So there was the voodoo doll one, and what was the
caused his skin to feel like it was on fire was the other one.
Oh man. I'm gonna go with the voodoo doll one.
Voodoo doll. All right. The correct answer was throwing up multicolored
Stop.
vomit. Yes. So it was this awful kind of backstage skit where he was like giving an interview, then he like crumpled over in pain. And it honestly looked like oatmeal mixed with corn pops mixed with like red and green food coloring.
So like, would they just like pan the camera down and it would just be on the floor, or
No,
would
no,
he actually like hold it in
somehow
his
he'd
mouth?
like spit it out. Yeah, it was
weird.
a backstage skit, and back in those days they were. I mean, even today they're pre-taped, so
True.
So they could do whatever editing they needed to. But
Man.
yeah, it was really lame because it didn't really seem like much. But yeah, he got hauled off on a stretcher and he was throwing up.
See, now I have to look because, like I said, I'm vaguely remembering Papa Shango with.
So I don't think he had a voodoo doll. I think he had like a skull on a giant like string of beads and it smoked. I don't think he actually had a voodoo doll, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he did.
You're right. He had the it was a skull at the end of like a rain stick.
Yeah, it was like an incense burner type thing. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well.
All right. One for me.
If that gives anybody kind of an idea of how this is going to go.
Yay! Some of them are easier than that. Some of them are tricky. Like they're not made to be too crazy difficult. But
how many of them are like pre-2002?
All of them.
Fantastic.
I think all of them. Hey, we go to my wheelhouse for these, not yours. When it's your turn to do this game, then we can do your wheelhouse.
I'm going to ruin you with Impact Wrestling.
Great. That's what everyone wants. All right. Number 2. When Tugboat turned heel to become Typhoon,
oh boy,
how did he do it? A, he attacked Hacksaw Jim Duggan after a tag team match. B, during a showdown between Hulk Hogan and Earthquake, he blindsided Hulk Hogan. C, he attacked his teammates, the Bushwhackers, during a 6-man tag match. D, he sunk 3 passenger ships in the Northwest Pacific while maintaining a wind speed above 64 to 84 knots.
It's got to be the wind speed.
Right? I mean, how else do you get the name Typhoon?
So I'm going to rule out the Bushwhackers one. It just doesn't seem like. Well, no, because the Bushwhackers actually had some decent.
But thinking back, remember, Bushwhackers were over despite never doing anything ever. They were the comedy act like Santino was.
So it was turning on the Bushwhackers,
turning on
Hogan,
Hulk, or turning on Jim Duggan, basically.
I'll rule out Jim Duggan.
Okay,
because I could see his overness disappearing relatively quick. What year can you give me what year he turned?
Ooh, I don't actually have that. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess 92, 93 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, it's got to be either Hogan or, you know what? He turned on the Bushwhackers.
Absolutely correct. He turned on the Bushwhackers. It was in a 6-man tag match. It was Tugboat and the Bushwhackers versus, I believe it was Money Inc. and Earthquake. Things kind of broke loose. There was kind of like everyone was flooding into the ring. And then Tugboat came over and just kind of did like the splash in the corner to one of the Bushwhackers while they were kind of looking at one of the other guys outside of the ring, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, what was that?" And then the Bushwhacker fell down. Earthquake splashed him and pinned him, and voila, we have the natural disasters.
Yeah, I mean it really only makes sense to be either one of those two because around that time, if you got the timing right, Hogan's at kind of the kind of the downturn.
Exactly. Hogan was kind of on his way out. He had already had his, at this point, he had already had his program with Earthquake a couple years before, I believe.
But even still, him being on the downturn, he was still super over.
Oh, yeah.
But like you had said, I guess I always forget that the Bushwhackers were and probably will always be over, no matter what.
Right. There's always going to be that kind of like, especially at this point, that nostalgia pop. But yeah, they had just something about them that the kids loved. So the stupid little walk, that's what they had. So, yeah. All right. Number 3, 1991. Roddy Piper comes out with a crutch after a motorcycle accident to interview the $1 Million Man before his WrestleMania match with Virgil, where Roddy Piper was in the corner of Virgil during this match. How does this interview segment end? A. Roddy whips off his shirt, talks about the cow doo-doo on Ted's shoes, and then Virgil stares down Ted. B. DiBiase sucker punches Roddy, attacks him with the crutch until Virgil makes the save. C. DiBiase's hired goons hold Piper while Ted puts Virgil in the $1 Million Dream. Or D. DiBiase senses there's a lot more money to be made, not in fighting, but in waiting this whole thing out and cashing in on the lonely Virgil memes and merchandise in about 30 years and leaves without a fight.
So we're going to rule out the memes.
Okay.
I don't think that was an actual thing ever up until like 2015.
12, yeah. Probably a strong call. Okay.
And I remember this match, the WrestleMania match, and
we covered, I think, the SummerSlam rematch.
Yes,
but I don't think we didn't cover the Mania match yet.
The rematch, Piper wasn't actually in Virgil's corner; he was on commentary, like rooting for.
Correct.
At Mania, was he actually in Virgil's corner?
Yes.
Okay. See, and it's hard because I don't know how the booking style was back then. Because like now, I would have said 100% all the way. $1 Million Man beat up Roddy with the crutch. Virgil made the save, and we end the show going with the babyface going high right before WrestleMania.
Right.
God, I have almost zero ideas with this one.
I'm pretty sure this is older than you are, right? 91?
I was born in 91.
Okay.
So this was before Mania of 91?
Yes.
This was 2 months before I was born.
Okay. So this angle is older than you, technically.
Can you run through the first 3 one more time?
A. Roddy whips his shirt off, talks about the cow doo-doo on Ted's shoes, and then Virgil stares Ted down.
I'm going to discredit that one.
B. DiBiase sucker punches Roddy, attacks him with the crutch until Virgil makes the save. C. DiBiase's hired goons hold Piper while Ted puts Virgil in the $1 Million Dream.
I'm going to have to go with B.
B. DiBiase sucker punches Roddy and attacks him with the crutch.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one I made up.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the ones I made up. Because, yeah, that does seem like what should happen when someone comes out with a crutch these days, right? Like, oh, there's a crutch. That's getting used.
Was it C?
It was A. Roddy whips his shirt off, talks about the cow doo-doo on Ted's shoes, and that was an actual quote. Like, I wouldn't have made up cow doo-doo. I don't think I'm that creative anymore.
I could see you coming up with something like that.
I appreciate that. Yep. Yeah, it was a total non-fight confrontation, so it was really weird. And looking back, obviously they put Roddy with Virgil because Virgil couldn't talk. Yeah. So Roddy was the mouthpiece. And
well, see, and I would have even guessed C would have been better because the only reason I didn't go with C is why would he put Virgil in the $1 Million Dream when they held down Roddy? You would have stumped me if you had said they held Virgil down and he put Roddy in the $1 Million Dream.
That would have made sense too.
That one would have gotten me.
Yep. That would have been a good one. All right. We're sticking with the $1 Million Man theme here for a second. So 4. The $1 Million Man used to say everyone's got a price and would offer hundreds of dollars to get a, quote, audience member, unquote, to humiliate themselves. On one episode of Wrestling Challenge in 1987, the audience member happens to be one Linda McMahon. What does DiBiase have her do? A, do jumping jacks, but has Virgil trip her before she can do enough to win the money. B, get on all fours and bark like a dog, then just refuses to pay her. C, kiss his bare foot and then refuses to pay, saying she ruined his manicure. D, enlist her to be his cabinet member in charge of small business affairs, mentioning how she'll never make it into Congress, but she's got moxie.
So not D, because that was Trump.
Yeah.
Like, word for word, that was Trump.
Yeah.
So kiss his bare foot, bark like a dog, or do jumping jacks.
Yep.
I know Linda was a part of some pretty awful storylines, but I can't imagine Vince having his wife go and bark like a dog.
You can't imagine Vince having someone like...
True. The guy who started the Kiss My Ass Club.
Right.
That I'm pretty sure his wife was a part of.
That also did an angle where he was cheating on his wife right in front of her while she was catatonic in a wheelchair.
True. I'm not gonna go with the foot one.
Okay.
You know what? Barking like a dog.
Correct. It was have her get on all fours and bark like a dog.
Damn it, Vince.
It was really weird when I first stumbled upon this clip online because, yeah, it doesn't, nowhere in the video title or the video
does it actually say it's
description,
Linda?
It doesn't say anything about it being Linda. In the comments, everyone's like, holy shit, that's Linda in 1987. So, yeah, typically when the $1 Million Man was doing these things to embarrass an audience member, like, was it the kid that was dribbling the basketball, one of the Usos?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yep.
Turns out most of the people he was embarrassing were family members of the rest of the staff. So,
which, I mean, that's better than actually embarrassing a real
fan. Right. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's actually kind of nice in retrospect to know all of that because, I mean, DiBiase's gimmick was that got him some heat. So,
but and it's one of those things where I know I always say it, but the heat that he got, dude could back it up in the ring.
Oh yeah,
like he was really good.
That's when you have a good heel because you almost want to like him because he's so good, but he acts like such a jerk and he does all of these things that he doesn't need to do. So it's like, why are you like this?
Right.
That's the kind of heat you want, not the can we get this guy off my television heat.
Yeah,
it's a completely different type of heat, and I feel like they've lost that. So,
yeah, I mean, the last one to really be like that was Edge when he was a heel.
That's Ciampa.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Ciampa did it well. But yeah. All right, number 5. WrestleMania 9. Crush versus Doink the Clown. Crush had Doink locked in his submission hold, the head crusher thing. I don't know what the actual name for it. The Kona Crush, I guess. What happens next? A miniature Doink comes out of nowhere and distracts Crush, letting Doink get the win. B, a second Doink comes out from underneath the ring and attacks Crush with a fake arm. C, a full circus sideshow comes out from the back and the bearded lady attacks Crush. Or D, Doink slides out of his wig. It turns out to be Chris Jericho, proving Jericho was Doink all along forever.
What WrestleMania was this?
9. Jericho would have been in the business.
He would have been.
I think he was in Smoky Mountain as one of the thrill seekers.
Yeah, we're
in Japan. And
we're going to
say
no with the Jericho thing.
All right, if you're sure.
But I mean, it would make sense that Doink or Jericho was Doink all along.
How amazing would that be? Like, oh, it was me, Austin. It was me all along. Chris, what?
I have to either go with Mini Doink or the bearded lady. I'm going to say Mini Doink.
Mini Doink. The correct answer is a second Doink came out from underneath the ring and attacked Crush with a fake arm. So this was when there were 2 Doinks. There was original Doink, Matt Bourne, and then second Doink was actually the guy that played Skinner in WWE around this time.
Oh, okay.
Which apparently it was weird because Skinner had like a kind of a scraggly backwater beard, And apparently he shaved it to be the second Doink, and then he was still Skinner for like a few months after this, or a few weeks at least. And whenever had to be Skinner, he had a fake beard on.
Oh, no.
So, all right. Moving on. Number 6.
Can we just preface the rest of these with, this is kind of the point of this podcast, because I've only watched stuff from like, 2002 forward?
Yeah. So.
And you've watched pretty much everything from 2005 backwards?
Pretty much. Since about... I wasn't watching back when WrestleMania started, but I think I was around probably for everything after WrestleMania 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I'm old. All right. Number 6, WCW, 1989.
Oh, no.
Jim Ross is interviewing Terry Funk. Terry Funk makes an unflattering comparison of Ric Flair and what? A filthy pig. B, a smelly jackass. C, a gutless jackrabbit. Or D, a woman, because it was the South in the 1980s.
There's not really a trick one in there.
Some of these do get a little tougher. Does he call Flair a pig, a jackass, or a jackrabbit?
I'm honestly gonna. I don't have a train of thought to even think on this one. We're gonna go with the jackass.
Correct. It was a jackass. So it was such a long story to get to calling Flair a jackass. He's like, my daddy was telling me back on the Double Cross Ranch that he was driving up the road and hit this thing that had these big old teeth and yada. And like, he just kept rambling on and basically making fun of Flair's appearance and saying he's got big teeth, he's got big ears, got a big nose. I must have hit a smelly ass I must have hit a smelly jackass. And he's like, you didn't hit a jackass, Pappy. You hit Ric Flair. And
I mean, I feel like all of Terry Funk's promos were super stupid long like that.
Right. They kind of meandered a bit. They weren't awful, but they weren't in any rush to get to the point.
Right.
All right. Oh, this one was bad.
Oh, boy.
Number 7. I don't have a year for this. If I recall, I think it was 99 or 2000.
Okay.
Gene Okerlund interviews Ming on WCW Saturday Night the week before Halloween Havoc. How's that go? A, Ming just stares menacingly at Mean Gene. B, Ming speaks Samoan while a quote-unquote handler translates. C, Ming starts off speaking Tongan, then goes to Japanese, then French, then gibberish, then walks off after speaking some Spanish. Or D, Ming recites a monologue from King Henry IV in a perfect British accent, speaking to the folly of man and the ennui of existence.
It would have been fantastic if that was true.
Wouldn't that have been amazing?
So he does a bunch of languages, a handler translates, or he just stares at
Mean Gene.
Mean Gene.
Correct.
I don't remember Meng too much as a character in WCW.
I mean, it was pretty much Haku. Until much later, went in like the late 2000s when he was teamed up with the Cat and had an afro.
I'm going to have to go with he just stared menacingly.
So he actually started off speaking Tongan and then spoke Japanese,
Stop.
Then went into French, then some made-up gibberish language, and then spoke some Spanish.
What?
It was bizarre, yeah. Mean Gene got shockingly a little racist when he was talking about languages and stuff, but it was on like the PG side of it. I guess it was that quote-unquote cute racism. So
is that a thing?
It's the stuff that's like, oh, well, he didn't mean it. No, he didn't mean no harm with it, so yeah, that kind of stuff. So. All right. This one you might have actually seen now. I forgot. This will probably be the one that takes place most recently of all these questions. Number 8. Raw, February 3rd, 2003. Randy and Batista are looking for Scott Steiner, but run into Goldust. A brawl breaks out. What happens next? A, they electrocute Goldust, which gives him Tourette's syndrome. B, they throw him into a dumpster and make inappropriate remarks about Marlena, a.k.a. Terry. C, Booker T saves Goldust and Randy and Dave are sent off running and embarrassed. Or D, Goldust and Randy take turns hitting the flipping power slam on random security guards in an effort to one-up each other.
It's got to be the flipping power slams. That's the only thing that really makes sense. No, but I did actually see this one.
All right.
It has to be, if I'm remembering correctly, it gives Goldust Tourette's. They electrocute him.
Correct. That's where the stutter comes from. They threw him into like this random electrical breaker box that's sitting like on one of the stands in the crowd.
Yep. Because this was towards the start of Evolution, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was pretty early on in their run.
Because actually, I'm almost positive this was just shortly after they debuted. And it was when Randy and Batista were doing their whole rough shot of random parts of the locker room.
Really, probably was. I think Booker T and Goldust may have even been tag champs at the time, or they may have just recently lost the belts, but it was right around that point.
Which would make sense that this happened because I'm pretty sure Flair and Batista took... I'm pretty sure they took the tag belts off of... Booker T and Goldust.
I believe you're correct.
Because that was when they needed Batista to team with Flair so that Batista could carry the team.
Yep.
Randy was IC champ and Trips was heavy champ.
Yeah, so they had all of the belts. All right. Now we're jumping back about a little less than a decade.
Oh boy.
Going back to WCW, Saturday night, October 9th, 1994. Hulk Hogan presents the number one Hulkamaniac, Dave Sullivan, with a gift. What was the gift? A replica world title. B, an autographed Hulk Hogan poster. C, a robe with a life-sized Hulk Hogan airbrushed on the back. Or D, an autographed DVD of Mr. Nanny and the opportunity to get the fuck out of this angle.
For the historians, everybody could only hope that it was D.
Right, because, we're about to enter into the Dungeon of Doom soon after this.
I'm going to go with the robe with the life-sized Hulk Hogan airbrushed on the back of it.
You are correct, sir. It was the ugliest damn robe ever. It's like, here, have a robe that has me on it.
And that 100% was a random guess.
It was correct. Think about it. What's like the most egocentric thing they could have given him revolving around Hulk? That was it.
Ugh.
All right. Jumping forward a little bit. WCW Nitro, November 1998. Flair versus Bischoff in a promo over who runs the company since Flair had been given on-screen authority power. Things start to get a little heated. What happens next? A, the NWO comes out and beats down Flair. B, one of the Horsemen come out and beat down Flair. C, Bischoff beats down Flair himself. Or D, DX comes out and beats down Flair.
Well, it's not D. Honestly, so this was what, 98?
98, late 98.
I mean, it would make sense to say the NWO because literally at this point everybody was a part of the NWO.
You're not wrong.
I don't think it would be one of the Horsemen. That just doesn't seem like it would have... WCW wouldn't know how, at this point in time, wouldn't know how to do anything with the Horsemen.
At this point, I think the Horsemen were Flair, Arn, Benoit, and Mongo.
Was it Mongo or was...
it may have been Benoit, or not Benoit, Malenko instead of...
It was Malenko because I'm pretty sure shortly after all of this, they split up.
Yeah.
And that's when Benoit and Malenko, or at least Benoit... No, Benoit and Malenko jumped ship.
Oh, no. That's not until 2000.
Oh, so we still had 2 more years of them being wasted?
Oh, yeah. Well, year and a half.
And with how WCW's booking goes, I wouldn't be surprised if Bischoff beat down Flair because he was Mr. Karate Master.
He was a karate man.
Yeah, I'll go with that one. Bischoff beats up Flair.
So this one was a little bit tricksy because of the wording on it. So it was actually one of the Horsemen.
But
it wasn't one of the current Horsemen.
Let me guess, Arn Anderson comes out?
No, it was... Crap, I forget the name. It was Barry Windham.
Oh.
Barry Windham was, I think it was Barry Windham.
Wasn't Barry Windham a horseman for like a day?
No, he was one for a while back in the day.
Oh, that's right. It was when him and Arn and Ole.
Yeah, so what had happened was Flair actually came out with Barry Windham. Bischoff said, Barry Windham's going to beat the crap out of you because the NWO runs this place and we've got the money and yada, yada, yada. Flair goes on, once you're horseman for life, yada, yada, yada. Then Flair attacks Bischoff and then Windham takes down Flair. So it was a really bad brawl, too. It was dumb.
I could see that.
All right. This one I think you might know. Number 11. St. Valentine's Day Massacre, 1999.
Oh.
Vince had previously won the Rumble by eliminating Austin. Now they face off, and the winner gets the title shot. Winner gets the title shot at Mania. What happens next? A. Austin stuns Vince and heads to Mania. B. Corporation saves Vince, but Austin wins the Mania shot the next night on Raw. C. A giant breaks through the ring and throws Austin through a cage. D. Shane jumped off the Titantron and cross-bodied everyone to win the Mania title shot, which is then stolen the next night by Stephanie, then stripped by Linda and given to The Rock, who loses it to Mankind, who gives it to Triple H, who loses it to Austin.
Yes.
I mean, that kind of seems like something that could have happened at the time.
Very true. So this was what did you say?
99, St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Okay. So let me run through these again.
Kick, wham, stunner. Austin wins.
Okay.
Corporation comes out and saves Vince, but Austin wins it anyways the next night on Raw.
Okay.
Giant breaks through the ring and throws Austin through a steel cage.
In 99. I'm trying to think if Big Show had debuted yet. I don't think they would do it as cleanly as Austin beats Vince.
Kick, wham, stunner at St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a thing. And I'm not 100% familiar with the corporation. I'm only familiar with them when they become the corporate ministry.
I mean, the corporation was basically Vince, Shane, Test, I think was part of it for a while at least. Boss Man, maybe Ken Shamrock for a while, or maybe Ken Shamrock was against them. I don't know. But yeah, that was like Boss Man. Boss Man was the big one.
Yeah, which I'm going to go with Big Show debuting.
That was, in fact, Big Show's debut.
Okay.
He rips through. It was a steel cage match. He rips through the floor of the ring, picks up Austin, chucks him into the cage. It was the old school cage at this point. It wasn't
blue one.
It wasn't the blue one. It was actually painted black, but it was more similar to the blue one than the current.
It had the real big space squares
exactly.
to it.
Yep, it was like the big framed one. And the cage split down the middle, so it was basically 8 panels instead of 4 big panels.
Okay.
I think the blue one was just 4 walls. This one was 8 walls, basically. And it swung open in the middle, and Austin held onto the cage after being thrown into it and swung down and fell to the floor.
Yeah,
and won that way.
It wasn't the chainmail or the chain link one.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Fall, 1994. After feuding with Bret Hart, Jerry Lawler begins feuding with Doink the Clown. Doink is given a miniature version of himself, Dink, by Santa. To even the odds, King gets a mini version named Queasy. What happens next? A. They have a mixed tag match at Survivor Series. B. Queasy turns on the King, and the 3 of them run Lawler out of the WWF for a time. C. King vs. Doink with Dink and Queasy on a pole match. D. In retaliation, Doink recruits Wink, then King recruits Sleazy, so then Doink gets Pink, then the King gets Cheesy, and we have Doink, Dink, Wink, and Pink versus King, Queasy, Sleazy, and Cheesy in a Survivor Series elimination match, which the King wins, but then he's attacked by all 6 midgets and is hit in the face with a pie.
If only that last one was real.
Right?
I mean, this is like way before I think I've even thought about watching anything that happened.
I mean, you would have been 3.
Right, but like...
you would have been 2.
Even going back to try to watch any of this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the on a pole match.
Didn't put 2 minis on a pole.
No, I don't think that's a thing. I mean, granted, they put Judy Bagwell on a forklift.
Yeah. Shh, stop spoiling what comes later.
I'm going to say, what was the first one?
They have a mixed tag match at Survivor Series.
I'm going to say that one.
The correct answer was, in retaliation, Doink then recruits Wink, then King recruits Sleazy,
Stop.
so Doink gets pinned. No, it was a 4-on-4 thing with
Stop
3 minis on each team. Yes. Doink gets eliminated first from the Survivor Series match because Doink and Lawler weren't supposed to put their hands on the minis. So obviously King then assists in the rest of his team winning. He gets upset that Sleazy, Queasy, and Cheesy were taking too much credit for winning, and then everyone pies. Doink's minis were hiding under the ring as they were being eliminated, and then all of the minis attack him. So it was a hell of a thing.
Man, like that didn't even sound like it was close to being a real thing.
Yeah, there's your surprise. D was real.
Jeez.
All right.
What number are we on?
We're on 13
out of
20.
Oh, boy.
A little over halfway. All right. November 1998. Sunday Night Heat. The very first appearance of the Brood as an official group. How does the match end? The Brood double-team the Oddities after Edge steals a Cartman doll to distract Golga. B, it's a no contest after the lights go out and Luna Vachon gets a bloodbath. C, the Oddities win after the 3 Giants decimate Christian, the current light heavyweight champion. Or D, the ICP start an impromptu rap concert and everyone just forgets about the match and they soak the crowd in Faygo.
That sounds like it would be the real one. I mean,
it's not out of the realm of 1998 Sunday Night Heat.
No, it's not. I'm going to eliminate Christian being the light heavyweight champ at that point. I'm going to go with Luna gets the bloodbath.
All right. So Christian actually was the light heavyweight champ at this point.
But did he lose the belt here, or did they decimate him?
Oh, it was a 3-on-3. No, they did not.
Okay.
So the Brood double-teamed the Oddities after Edge stole Golga's Cartman doll. Golga was actually John Tenta, a.k.a. Earthquake. This was a little sad, but a little nice, actually. He was wearing a mask that made it look like his head was deformed or his face was deformed. But he was actually in pretty poor health at this time, and this was more of Vince actually doing a decent thing and giving him a job so that he could kind of take care of himself. So the Oddities were fun, and it was silly, but yeah, this was actually the Brood's first match, as it turned out. All right.
I think I've only gotten, 2 right?
You've gotten a few more than that, but not a ton. All right. January 15th, 2001. Raven versus Test for the Hardcore Championship. Besides brawling, there's exactly one move in this match. What happens after that move? Raven pins Test. Test pins Raven. Hardcore Holly runs in with a second ref and tries to pin Raven. Then Steve Blackman runs in with a third ref, ending with a brawl between Holly and Blackman while Raven pins Test backstage. D, everyone realizes this is silly and they all go out for tea.
That's quite a crew to be all out having tea.
That would be a really hilarious amalgam of humans.
So, wait, Raven, Steve Blackman, Hardcore Holly, and Test?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever want to run into that crew walking down a dark alley.
Right?
I don't think it was... It can't be that they just one pinned the other. I'm going to go with Hardcore Holly comes out with a ref, and then Steve Blackman comes out with another ref.
That's exactly what happened.
Okay.
It ended when Regal actually cheap shots Test backstage, and then Raven pins him. Most notable thing about this, in January of 2001, the state of the Hardcore title was atrocious. It was like one little hunk of metal on a leather strap at this point.
Yeah.
It was not good.
For what they could have done with the Hardcore belt, like as an actual design,
right?
They could have done so much better. Just like they could have done so much better than the 24/7 CPF world title.
Factual. All right, 15. This one's a bit of a nightmare for you. ECW WrestlePalooza 1997. Tommy Dreamer versus our friend Raven. Loser leaves town match. Dreamer wins after a complete war. What happens next? The lights go out, and when they come back up, RVD hits Tommy with a Van Daminator. B, the lights go out. When they come back up, Sabu spikes Tommy in the face with a chair. C, the lights go out, and when they come back up, Jerry Lawler runs down the company and the crowd while the entire ECW locker room is held off with chairs. D, the lights go out, and they never come back up because Heyman couldn't afford the electric bill.
What year was this?
1997.
Okay, so we're going to eliminate the last one because they didn't go out, or they didn't disappear for a while after that.
No, that's actually the end of their very first pay-per-view ever. The lights went out right as they were going off air because the fuse legitimately blew in the building. They couldn't fix it. So
I remember hearing something about that, but it's definitely not that Heyman couldn't afford the electric bill.
Not at this time, no.
That would come probably 2.5 years later.
It might have been about that, yep.
I'm going to say, because I remember Jerry Lawler doing something in ECW, but I don't think it was this late into ECW. I would have thought that it was earlier on when they were still running those red, blue, and yellow ropes.
When it was like Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Yes. I'm going to go with Sabu coming out and spiking Tommy with a chair.
So good news. As long as you didn't pick D, those all happened sequentially. Lights went out. RVD comes out, hits the Van Daminator.
What?
Someone, I think the Sandman came out to help Tommy or something. Then the lights go out again. Sabu shows up and cracks him in the face with a chair. Brawl, brawl, brawl. Lights go out again. Come up and Lawler's in the ring with a mic. And this was during the Monday Night Wars where ECW was invading Raw at their Hammerstein Ballroom.
Oh, was this when they had the deal with WWE that they would show up every now and then?
Yep. And yeah, so it ends with Lawler showing up and running down everyone while RVD and Sabu hold everyone off with chairs. Boy, were the crowd hot for that one.
Good grief.
All right. 16. I think you know this one. At least once we get to the answers, I think you'll figure it out. 16. Did Dudley steal Christian and Jericho's bags and go through them while they're standing in the ring? What do they find? A, the tag team championship belts, which they steal. B, Jericho's $15,000 jacket, which they break. C, a jar of ass cream, which they question. D, a bottle of chump stain remover, which they use.
It would have been so much better if it was Jericho's jacket.
I don't know. You should go. We'll go back and watch this later. I don't think it could have been better than what it was.
It was definitely the ass cream.
It was definitely the ass cream.
Because I remember that being a thing, and I'm pretty sure Edge and Christian talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
They did mention it fairly recently. That may have been what initiated my search for some of these.
Didn't they bring this up because of what the Usos were doing to the Revival most recently?
May have been.
I'm pretty sure it was them talking about them shaving each other in the shower.
Yeah. Sounds familiar. This was not the first time ass cream came up, but...
Which, I mean...
I think it was the first time, but it wasn't the only time, I should say.
If anybody who doesn't know wrestling were listening to this conversation about ass cream and two men shaving each other in the shower...
Well, that's about the standard hit against pro wrestling, but...
Welcome to WWE, folks.
Yep. No, yeah, so they pull out all of their clothes, throw their clothes into the crowd, and then Bubba pulls out this big jar that just says ass cream on it. It's like a giant thing, too. It's like a giant bucket that like protein powder would come in, and it's just labeled ass cream. It's like, ass cream? What even is ass cream? Why do you even have this? And Christian's like, well, it's not my ass cream. And Jericho's like, I'm telling you, it was hilarious. And then I think like a couple weeks or some period of time later, Santa Goldust in the back gives them a Christmas present, and it's a jar of ass cream.
That's fantastic.
And it was stuttering Goldust. It was, the whole ass cream stuff was great. All right. July 29th, 1996. The Outsiders invade WCW. Out back, Ray attacks Kevin Nash by leaping off a production truck at him. What happens next? A. Ray hits a crossbody and takes Nash down. B. Ray hits a missile dropkick, but it only staggers Nash. C. Nash catches Ray and throws him like a javelin into the side of the production truck. D. Ray hits a perfect Hurricane Rana roll-up and pins Nash and is given the hardcore title 3 years before it's invented.
See, I'm pretty sure I know this one because I just recently watched the Monday Night Wars.
I figured this is one of those things that happened so long ago that you probably wouldn't typically know it, but is famous enough. It's like on the cusp of being famous enough that you could know it.
I'm pretty sure this is the one where Nash just javelins Ray into the side of the production truck.
Damn right it is. It was my favorite NWO moment ever. It was so brutal, and I was not a Rey Mysterio fan, and I was a Kevin Nash fan at the time. So, yeah. Ray leaps off the steps that lead into the production truck.
And he tries
and Nash
to
just catches him and, just javelins into the side of the truck. But Nash is so tall, it's not like... It was like 6 feet in the air, and Ray's like, 5'4" or something? So it's a fall.
Yeah, he actually, attempts the Hurricane Rana, but doesn't get his legs on Nash's shoulders, and Nash just, picks him up and just straight up
just javelins right in the side of the truck. It's one of the nastiest looking impacts I've ever seen. I'm sure it was safe as hell, but it looked brutal.
Well, I mean, that just goes to show how well Ray was selling back then.
Oh, yeah. Well, more than anything, it wasn't necessarily even the throw into the truck. It was that he literally took like a 6-foot just drop afterwards.
Yeah, and
because Nash's shoulder to the ground is taller than Ray.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because, like I said, they showed that on Monday Night Wars, and I think that was the first time I saw it. Like the anthology thing that they did on the network. I'm pretty sure I went back and watched it 4 times.
Yeah. All right. So these last 3 are all about the same episode of Monday Nitro from October 2nd, 2000.
These are the last 3?
The last 3.
Oh, boy.
All right. Number 18, Nitro, October 2nd, 2000. Vince Russo is WCW champion.
Ugh.
What happens next?
The company goes out of business.
A, he puts it up against Ric Flair in a lead pipe on a pole match. B, he surrenders it and Booker T faces Jeff Jarrett in a San Francisco 49ers match for the title. C, he holds it longer than anyone else in 2000 until losing it to David Arquette. D, Judy Bagwell on a forklift.
Judy Bagwell on a forklift. Ugh. I'm going to go with So Russo pins Booker T for it.
No. So what happened was it was almost a Hell in a Cell match between Booker and Russo for the championship, but you didn't win by pinfall or submission. You won by escaping the cage.
Yeah.
And Goldberg speared Russo through the side of the cage right as Booker T was walking out.
That's
and they gave it to Russo.
Yep, that's right. Okay.
Hint, it was on a pay-per-view the night right before that happened.
Yeah. I'm going to say then that Russo forfeits it, and then it goes into that stupid 49ers match.
That is correct.
Because I remember Russo coming out and saying, I'm not a pro wrestler, I'm not built for this, and he, gives it up.
Yep. That is correct. All right.
So now are we doing what happens after that?
Kind of.
Perfect.
We're not going to the 49ers match yet, but... Well, actually, what was the first match of this Nitro? A disco duck ladder match. B, the San Francisco 49er match. C, Viagra on a pole match. Or D, every match on the card all at once, because why the fuck not? Vince Russo, ladies and gentlemen.
Viagra on a pole match.
Incorrect. It was the disco duck ladder match.
Can you explain to me what a disco duck ladder match is? Did it have something to do with Disco Inferno?
Yeah, unfortunately. So
that guy's the worst.
Disco had recently been kicked out of the Filthy Animals. It was and had been going around with this plastic lawn ornament, a duck.
He was in the Filthy Animals?
Yes, he was one of the Filthy Animals along with Conan, Ray, Hoovy, and Kidman at various times.
Jeez, okay.
I believe at this point the Filthy Animals were Hoovy, Ray, and Conan.
one of these things is not like the other, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, so what had happened was Disco had this dumb plastic duck, like yard plastic, like it was a solid duck.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd been going around with it. They come out with it. They make fun of saying Disco was having sex with the duck. Disco had formed a team known as the Boogie Knights, spelled Knight, with Alex Wright, now known as Berlin. And yeah, they strung the duck up and put it above the ring with a ladder.
Yep, I remember this now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, as soon as you said the Boogie Nights, I remembered that.
Ugh. All right. Question number 20, the last one.
Oh, boy.
This one has more than 4 answers.
Oh, no.
A San Francisco 49ers match is, shockingly for WCW at this time, 4 boxes on poles. 1 box contains the title, the rest, dumb random shit. Which of these things didn't happen? The rest of these things all happened.
Yep.
A box contains a picture of Scott Hall. B, the box holding the title falls apart. The title falls on the ground without anyone getting it. C, a box contains a penis pump. D, a box falls off its pole accidentally and contains an inflatable sex doll. E, Beetlejuice from the Howard Stern Show grabs Jeff Jarrett by the dick because Jarrett hit him with a guitar last week. F, the ref fucks up by checking to see if Booker T was put out by a sleeper hold, then gives a 10 count for both men being down twice in a stuff on a pole match where you can only win by retrieving the object from the pole. Or G, Scott Steiner puts Beetlejuice in the Steiner recliner to end the show.
Oh, boy.
Which of those things didn't happen?
So I know the title fell out of the box.
Sure did.
I know ref checked Booker T twice.
Sure did.
I know there was a picture of Scott Hall.
Yup.
I wouldn't be shocked if there was a penis pump.
Right?
Who was the man? Who was in the match?
It was Jeff Jarrett and Booker T.
Okay. I'm going to say the one that didn't happen. It's either the sex doll, the Steiner recliner, or the guitar or the grabs Jarrett by the dick. It's so hard because
WCW 2000.
because WCW.
Right? It could be any of these.
I'm going to go with Steiner recliner to end the show.
The thing that did not happen was a box containing a penis pump. Was not part of the thing. There was a box that had a sex doll that someone got Irish whipped into a turnbuckle, and then one of the boxes just fell to the damn ground. Like, that's unfortunate.
Well, like I said, it's so hard because WCW.
Yeah, it was real bad.
Especially because Vince Russo earlier on in the night.
Right.
Like, just if you have a show with Vince Russo on it, debauchery happens.
Yeah, who knows? So, yeah, the 4 boxes contained a picture of Scott Hall, the world title, an inflatable sex doll, which was fully inflated somehow, and then the last one was, quote-unquote, a coal miner's glove, which is supposed to be like a loaded glove, but was clearly just like a leather glove from a fireplace set. It looked really dumb. Like, they didn't gimmick the glove at all. They didn't wrap duct tape around it. They didn't do anything to make it look like a loaded glove. It was just a random fireplace glove.
Good grief.
All right. So let me go back and over. Let's see how many you got here.
I know I got less than half right.
Yeah, 1, 2. We'll give you this one. 3, 4. Not that one. 5. Not that. 6, 7. You're doing better than you thought. 8. Nope. Oh, I don't remember. Yeah.
Which one?
I think this was 9. The barking like a dog one.
Yep.
You did get that one. Didn't get that. Didn't. The tugboat one. Yes, you did get that.
Yep.
10.
Oh, okay.
You got
I got
10.
Half.
You got exactly half.
I got half.
All right.
I'll
That's not
take
bad.
it.
Yeah. Especially for, like I said, a lot of those happened before you were born.
Yeah, and a lot of them happened when I was like
An infant.
8.
Yeah. Hey, I was watching wrestling when I was 8. Just because
Yeah.
you had better parents than me.
I wouldn't say that. It was just that
Just because I came from a single parent household doesn't mean my parent.
I didn't know wrestling was a thing at that point.
Yeah, that's fair. So, all right. Well, hopefully everyone else enjoyed this and all of our silly questions here. We'll probably revisit this idea if everyone likes it. And we may revisit it if everyone hates it because it entertained us.
Let us know how you guys did if you were keeping track at home, because it's always just interesting to hear.
About to say, let us know if you got more than Jacob got right, and if so, then we'll give you a shout out next
That
episode.
you might as well be the new co-host.
We'll bring you on the show. Sounds like a plan. All right. Anything else? I think we're good here. Right.
Yep.
All right. We're history.